It's Saturday. It's time to talk technology, and that means our tech expert, Luis Alvarez, the CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, is joining us here on Power Talk Radio. Luis, welcome back.
Thank you, my friend. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So, going to be out on the boat this weekend, or you got other plans?
We have other plans. We're heading up to Tahoe to spend time at a friend's cabin. It was supposed to be a nice summer or late summer, early fall vacation, but as it is, the weather forecast is for really chilly temperatures, like the lows in the 30s.
Oh, my.
And potentially even some snow in the higher elevations on Monday and Tuesday of next week. So we're entering that early fall season where the weather starts to cool down and we start to get a little bit of a rain pattern. So hopefully that'll help with the fires up there because it's really bad right now.
Right. Well, we're heading into the last week of summer because the date that we move into fall or autumn is either the 21st or 22nd of September. So it's either next Saturday or next Sunday. But this will be the final official week of summer, although we will still have some nice weather through. I think to me, in the years that we have the nice warm Indian summers, it pretty much will stay that way till almost the middle of October. And then it's like a cleaving line, like right around the 15th or 16th. That's when it just starts to feel like fall.
And we've had I got to say, we had a pretty nice summer this year.
Yes.
I mean, we had some fog in July, but other than that, it's been relatively nice and warm, and I've enjoyed it. But I also like that fall season when you start to get a little nip in the air in the evenings and it starts to get cool. And looking forward to it.
Hey, our topic for today, we're going to talk about some of the laws that the California State Legislature passed in the last days of the session. And for those who don't know, the state of California operates on a fiscal calendar of July 1 to June 30th. And most cities operate on that same calendar. The federal government runs October 1 to September 30th, and then the rest of us are on a calendar year, Jan 1 to December 31st. But at any rate, in the last few days of the session, legislature passed a number of bills to deal with AI and to supposedly protect jobs in the state. Well, that's something that we're going to talk about here as AI moves along.
Yeah,
so let's talk about some of those. What do you know?
Yeah, so this is a trend that I think we're going to be seeing more and more, not just in California, but at the federal and state levels, as AI technology starts to replace a lot of human beings in many jobs that are traditionally kind of like entry-level or low-level jobs that people need to do, but now you can replace them with AI. So California, being California, being at the front of the line, decided that they were going to tackle a lot of these issues. In particular, they passed a law, Senate Bill 1047, that is intended to create safeguards around AI development. This would adopt some safety protocols over the AI training models. As we all know, large language model AI requires a lot of training before it can be used for anything. And so this is the idea that they need to put some safeguards, some guardrails, if you will, on these large language models so that they are learning things correctly and don't have any biases built in or things like that. So they passed a law to do that. But more importantly, they also started to deal with the idea that human beings are going to be replaced. And especially the unions, unions are very, very powerful in the state of California. And unions depend on people being employed and paying union dues. And they recognize that if human beings get replaced, the AI workers are not going to be joining unions and paying union dues. So they have been working with the legislature to try to slow the pace of the adoption of AI, or if AI is adopted, ensure that people are still involved. So, for example, one Assembly Bill 2286 requires that driverless semi-trucks have to have a human operator. So essentially, if a truck can drive itself, it doesn't need a human in there. And the legislature in California said, no, even if a truck can be self-driving, it's still going to require a human being, which is probably going to be union worker paying union dues. So that's something that a lot of states and even the federal government is probably going to do in the very near future.
Okay, so that is AB 2286. I don't know, just my own personal opinion. I don't trust a driverless vehicle. I especially don't trust a driverless semi-truck. That's not to say that all semi-truck drivers are great drivers. We heard of plenty of accidents over the years. We have lots of evidence of that. But still, there's something very unnerving about a driverless huge truck coming up behind behind you on the interstate at 70, 75 miles an hour. Just a little bit scary. That reminds me of that. What was that one with the car that was driverless years ago, that movie that terrorized people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember that movie. Boy, I can't remember the name, but yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that was a...
the car was called Christine or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeez.
Stephen King novel, if I remember correctly.
Now, that was an assembly bill, right? And and then we have SB 1220, Senate Bill 1220. What's that going to do?
So this is a really interesting thing because one of the areas that AI is starting to really make inroads is in call centers. We've all called into credit card companies or large organizations, and you, rather than getting a human being, you used to get an auto attendant that would give you options, and you push, one or say one in order to go transfer to this or that. But now they have these chatbots that essentially replace call center agents and ask you questions and route your calls, can provide you answers and give you direction. So they're starting to replace a lot of workers that used to work at these call centers. So Senate Bill 1220 prevents the use of AI in state agency call centers to curb job losses. So essentially what legislature is saying is can't stop private enterprise from doing this, but if it's a state call center, maybe the Franchise Tax Board or one of the other agencies within the California state government, then those call centers have to be staffed by people and can't use AI to replace people. And in particular, if you read the Senate bill, which I did, it also calls for those call center workers to be California residents. So you can't outsource the call center to protect jobs in California rather than outsourcing them to the Philippines or India. And that part of the bill I'm in favor of. But the idea that you're going to prevent the efficiencies and cost savings that AI can provide a call center, that's not the best way to handle that. This is an inevitable evolution, and the legislature is just delaying what is going to happen in any case. So I'm not a big fan of this particular bill.
Okay, and this is those call centers, these would be ones that are run by the state of California for various departments. Right. So it wouldn't be, so people with private businesses could still have their call centers offshore.
Yeah, because that trying to prevent that is probably a bridge too far for the state of California, because that federal law trumps California when it comes to that sort of thing.
Okay, so then the next two bills, the ones we'll finish up with, are both assembly bills. AB 2602, preventing the use of AI to create digital replicas of artists' work. How does this work?
Yeah, so the idea here, and this I'm completely a proponent of, is, the idea is that AI can't look at like the Mona Lisa and then create a different version of the Mona Lisa without express written permission of the owner of that artwork. In the case of Mona Lisa, the guy's dead, so, can't go there. But if you create a piece of art and AI scans it and creates a version of it without your permission, then that would be against the law. And this is something that the entertainment industry is, you remember those strikes last year in LA? This is one of the things that they were fighting for. And this kind of puts it into law and into practice. And I'm a big proponent of that. So I think that's a good idea.
And then the final one is AB 1777, Assembly Bill 1777, requiring autonomous vehicle companies to staff emergency phone lines with human operators.
Yeah. So if you've been up to San Francisco and had the opportunity to ride in a Waymo autonomous taxi or some of the other places across California that are testing those autonomous vehicles, if one of those gets into an accident, this requires Waymo or the other companies that are doing autonomous or driverless vehicles to have a hotline that a human being will answer so that they can respond quicker, rather than, again, going into a some sort of call center queue where you have to press one or whatever. So this allows law enforcement to quickly get a hold of the owner of these autonomous vehicles and get them to respond to any sort of emergency that might happen. It's probably a good idea, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, some interesting stuff there. And folks, if you want to write down these numbers, if you want to read up more on them, AB 2286, SB 1220, AB 2602, AB 1777, and SB 1047, all dealing with AI laws. And Louis, you guys will have a link on your website?
We will. Yeah. Okay. So we will have a link up next week to all of these laws so you can take a look at them.
That's Louis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us today on Power Talk Radio. Online, it's alvareztg.com, at AlvarezTG. That's the X handle. And Louis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.
And Monday, we're looking into conspiracy theories generated on the web. And what do you want to tell us about that looking ahead?
Well, we're going to talk about how AI chatbots may be able to talk you off the ledge if you are a conspiracy theory fan. So tune in to learn more.
All right, starting 8:30 Monday Monday morning here on Power Talk Radio. That's 1460 AM and 101.1 FM. Thank you so much, Louis.
Take care, my friend.